are live, but we do have, we just start just check because it's only 4:29.
Oh, we can't.
We can't, so I'm saying, but I just wanted everyone to know we are live.
Like a snow day.
What's that?
Like a snow day.
Speaking of snow days, did we get in touch with the, what?
No, we do not. I will text
I'm worried about
Chris.
Saturday.
I know.
You're supposed to get snow Saturday also?
Yes.
Thursday too.
Yeah. Thursday could be anything from just rain to blizzard conditions. I really hope they have a backup date.
They sold out. I don't think they're gonna, but maybe they will. They've never done that before, but they could. If it's gonna be that impactful, I would think. Here, Sean, you can sit.
I hope it's not the next day.
I know
Buddy?
How you doing?
Long time no see.
Yeah.
How are you?
Doing all right, how you doing?
I'm well,
Good
thank
to
you.
see
Nice to see you.
Great.
we are live.
Oh, right. I'd like to call to order the Technology, Finance, and Operations Subcommittee. It is 4:31 on Monday, February 10th. Let's call to order. Michelle?
Here.
Sean here. Mike is in surgery right now. Doing the surgery. Doing the surgery, not having surgery done on them. Let's go for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And with that, why don't we jump right into discussing the FY26 budget so that we can bring it to the school committee for a vote.
Can I just ask one question?
Sure, please.
Do you need to have a quorum of people here?
We actually, it's a quorum of school committee members, and so Mike is not here, so it's a quorum, it's Michelle and I. I did talk to the other individuals who weren't gonna be here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
so
didn't know if we could hold the meeting without,
we will send this information
okay,
to
fine.
them, and if we need to meet again before the school committee, we're not meeting this, or are we meeting this Thursday? We're not.
That's to be determined.
That's to be determined.
Maybe
Yeah.
we're not.
There's a possibility, but maybe not. If not, it'll be next week. So if we have to, based on whatever conversations, we can always meet.
Next week is vacation week, just so you know.
So it won't be next week, it'll be the week after.
All right, let's talk about timeline.
Sure?
So, we believe, working backward, the first school committee meeting in March should be the public hearing on the budget, which means the posting needs to go into the paper next week.
Okay.
Aaron has already contacted the media about that. So, it's coming up fast. It's essentially two and a partial school working week left before public hearing on the budget.
Okay. That sound good with you, Michelle? Yeah? Okay. So we'll make it 6. Does that need a motion or anything, or that's just a?
Just point of information.
Yep, okay.
So I'll turn it over to Doug.
All right, so just talking about the proposed FY26 budget. At your next meeting, not this week, if it's scheduled this week, I don't think, but in the 27th, which is part of why I was asking is we'll do a full budget presentation for you guys.
Oh, wait a minute, now I understand why we were gonna potentially meet this Thursday, just to pass the budget or not.
No, this would be talk about capital this Thursday.
Oh, okay.
actually with capital, but
Okay.
talk about that when we get
Yep.
that budget. But as far as
I can make it.
the fiscal 26, budget presentation, will probably keep it very similar to what it's been in the past, just because I'm new to it. There's some things, in my world I'd like to make a little different for you all, and I'm open to suggestion on what things you'd like to definitely see. One of the things that I ended up sending a somewhat lengthy email, just in reply to a select board member in Wilbraham about, was to clarify what I presented at the round table, just because it was a different way to look at it, and it's technically you separate revenues from other, what are traditionally called here, offsets. I had those all blended, partly to show that change in federal support, state support over time,
Right.
but relative to how we actually are supposed to present the assessments and revenues and that sort of thing, it's different. So we'll put that sort of back to the traditional sort of format relative to those types of things. And I think the other sort of question really for me in presentations, are there particular things you'd like to see? And I think the second piece is what we presented at the roundtable was a 0% COLA. And so we will need to we still need to negotiate in good faith with all of our different, union groups. So we want to be cognizant of that, but at the same time, we still need to have some level of number for the purposes of bringing a budget forward, because it's unlikely that'll resolve, all that won't resolve before the 6th of March.
Right.
So I guess with the presentation, were you able to view the?
I just took a look at
Okay,
this. Is this what you're referring to?
Yeah.
yes. Also,
Yes.
I wasn't sure if you were able to watch on YouTube.
No,
But
I wasn't. I
Okay,
was-
okay, that's okay.
sorry.
I just thought I would ask, to see if there was anything that you
Sick.
would like to see, to
Michelle,
see
how
in
do
the
you want to,
presentation.
how do you want to handle the negotiations with the union, right? I mean, when it comes to the budget, do we put a place setter, like here's like a, maybe timeout? Yeah, we can't.
Not on the agenda.
Oh. Discuss proposed budget, bring to the school committee. That's what I'm discussing. I'm discussing whether we put something in for the union or not. Huh?
Can we just, for a second?
Okay, sure. Excuse me?
Well, can I ask a question while
I
they're out of the
understand
room?
sir.
Probably.
Probably not.
Unofficially,
Do
sure.
non-union employees,
Yep.
do they go by step and grade with respect to any salary increases they may get that's automatic, that would be built already into the budget?
So,
Do you want me to repeat the question?
No. For non-union staff, they don't tend to have step and grade. They just have so there's just a sort of COLA or an adjustment to their salary based on, either a cost of living adjustment or some other, modification of their salary based on performance.
Okay.
So if their supervisor is making a case for someone to get, it'd be nice if they got an extra X because they do this now that they didn't used to do, that kind of thing. That can be factored in, in the sheets that you've got from the presentation last week, no staff had any COLA of any sort.
Right,
Steps-
no, I saw that.
Steps were in place for
Yeah.
anybody that's in a contract that does have steps, which is just the union contracts, but none of them had a cost of living increase in
Okay.
that.
Gotcha, thank you.
Do you have something for us to look at other than what you proposed or showed at the meeting on the 4th? No?
Not different as far as numbers are concerned. I mean, the
Okay.
layout would be more like what you've traditionally seen, so the things that are considered revenue, which are in Chapter 70, transportation, interest income, into use, those are sort of separated onto the colored sheet. The other things, I missed one in that group, Medicaid gets counted as a revenue, Medicaid reimbursement. The other things that are grant funds, school choice, et cetera, or, yeah, so simplest way to say it is the sort of bottom line that we're asking from the two towns of
Yeah.
about 1.8 change is
Yeah.
still the same at this point.
Okay.
You know, there will be some continued refinement of that over the coming weeks. We've not heard back yet from some of those questions. You know, there were a couple things that were open-ended when we presented at the roundtable. Those are still open questions. I haven't heard a formal statement from Hamilton County Retirement Board yet, so that's still a question mark at the moment.
Wasn't there one that we were supposed to hear back on the 5th?
They met on the 5th, and then they were gonna formally issue a statement, and I've not received that. I was kinda hoping to get it today, really, and I haven't yet, so I'm hoping today or tomorrow that I'll get an email that will have a formal number there. We projected 8% for the increase there. And then the health insurance, cost
12th.
is, yes, Wednesday. And they absolutely are gonna vote a number on that day. They said they would, and I think, everyone's wanting to know what that's gonna look like, so, you know, they're trying to, everybody's firming up budgets, you know, town staff and all of that, and other communities that are part of that, trust as well for the health insurance. So those are still in change. We're still having conversations with, you know, internally with, you know, a few areas of the budget. Not a ton of change in the budget, but, you know, we're gonna keep refining it as we go through. Make sure we've got resources in the right places and the amounts in the right places, and but no official change in any numbers since last week's meeting.
Is E&D set in stone for
I'm sorry?
what you're proposing? E&D?
Yeah, the E&D, I don't think we're going to change at this point.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't think we can, in good conscience, go up, so down would be the only direction we go, and I don't think we can do that, so I think we'll stay with that. I mean, we projected $1 million as the support to the budget. I think that's what we should go with there. I think that's going to stay the same. Yeah, most of those, you know, there's a strong amount of use of school choice revenues. There's a strong amount of early childhood revolving fund revenues there, both of which are probably a little above our intake over the course of the current year, but we have balance in those revolving funds to tolerate that. So that's part of why we build balances when we can, so we can lean on them when we need to, and that'll be where we are there.
So basically, when we propose a budget to the school committee and the school committee votes on a budget, that budget can't really be amended. If we have negotiations, we come out of negotiations, we can't go and say, oh, here's the new number.
That's correct. We have a 45-day timeline before the town meetings when we have to set our budget. That is what is driving that March 6th or whatever.
What is the
March
actual,
6th.
what is the actual 45th day? What is
Well,
I thought we counted back to the.
We did.
it's plus or minus like a day or two of the
the,
6th.
May 12 is election day, and that's Sunday. So 12, 11, 10, 9, 7, is it 7?
We may-
Or maybe
March
we can go
7th?
back. Yeah, and May 7th is the town meeting, I believe. Yeah, let me look at it.
He said 12, he said 12, he
I
said
want to say
12.
both towns. is-
May 12th is the election, if I remember correctly. Oh, no, May 12th is at, okay. May 12th is that Monday is the meeting, I think. My birthday is the 12th, so I just remembered either the elections were gonna be on the 12th, or the town meeting was gonna be on the 12th, but I knew something was on the birthday, so I told my wife, no birthday celebration this year.
So this is calendar days, right?
When we counted, we did not count weekends and such. We did-
Business days?
We
Okay.
counted business days.
So
Yeah.
it's Monday, so there's 5, 10, May. 20, 25, 30 in April.
Do you have St. Patrick's Day? March 17th?
Yeah, that counts.
No, but I'm saying, I'm looking at the 17th is the day.
Oh, I didn't get up to that. I lost track there.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40.
It's earlier than that,
It's
so we
earlier
have to
than
take
that.
out the Patriots Day in April.
Right. So the 7th or the 6th is what we're looking at?
We were looking
The
at
sixth
March
is a
6th.
school committee day.
Yeah, so I would say that, yeah, okay, so you're right, we're right on the day that we're supposed to be.
Mhm. So, right, so at that point, the school committee has to pass the budget, and then
Yeah.
the rest of the process, as we know, moves forward.
And our next school committee meeting is on the 27th?
Yes, Thursday the 27th.
Okay. How many more, between now and March 6th, how many more union negotiation meetings do we have? I'm not seeing.
I think there's one that week you get back on.
Just one,
Just one?
Mhm.
What day is that?
the 25th.
Okay, good. So that'd be before the school committee on the 27th. Yep, I have it. And we also have planning that day, is that true? I'm looking at it.
It's a schedule, it's one of our schedule, but it's not always something we have to do, but it is our schedule, a regular schedule of planning.
Yeah. It seems to me that we're kind of stuck in the water here. I don't mind the format, as you had mentioned, that's fine, right? But when it comes to the budget, there's just things that haven't fallen into place. And as we learned at that, you know, the number that the towns are going to give us, that seems to be in flux as well, but we know that we were hoping the number would go up, but I believe the number's gone down. So we have, I believe the place said it was 1.4 million extra additional from Wilbraham, and I believe that's down to 1.1 because they wanna make sure they don't hit a Prop 2.5 override.
Did you have a number for the engine?
It would be roughly 20% of that.
Oh, wait, oh, that's capital request.
Sorry.
I was just looking at an overall budget number. Because I have last year's roundtable budget presentation with me, and last year the format was a little bit different. And we actually gave you, I think ours was 8 million and some change from Hamden. And I was
Right.
just wondering if you had a number that was discussed. I mean, you said, you know, Wilbraham, we were hoping to get an additional 1.3, they want 1.1, so they don't have to go for an override. So I was just wondering if you, what sort of feedback you may have gotten from Doug and or the selectmen at the round table? Anything? No?
Yeah.
I mean, unless you direct otherwise, I think we're coming in with a budget that is not devastatingly impactful to the district. And 1.1, you know, so that'd be like 1.3, doesn't even get us close to level service. I mean, the
Right.
1.8 was not even close to level service. That was still reducing a building and reducing a whole tier of busing. So,
Yeah, I understand when people say, oh, you know, for level funding, why are we paying so much more for level funding? And it's just, it's, you know, our budget is what, 85% are teacher salaries, right? Or, you know, our salaries. And when you have inflation that we've had over the past couple of years, that's just hitting people, that getting a raise is not even getting a raise, it's just giving you what you just lost to inflation, you know? Less than that, actually, so. Yeah, why don't we, do you have anything else to say on this? Yeah, we
The
just,
calendar's the calendar.
But
yeah.
from this committee, having some direction would be helpful. Do you want us to continue to budget what our real needs are
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we have to.
instead of turning back into
Right.
number?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yes.
That, and then we have to figure out, I know there were instruction given by the school committee on what to do for the other, but that still needs to be a conversation, I think. Because we definitely have a brick wall, and that brick wall is, the towns do not want to break 2.5. You have to go for more than 2.5. So if, I just don't, you know, maybe it's gonna be a 2.5 conversation week for something next year or whatever, but I don't know. From what I've heard, there's no need, desire, or want from the select board or the finance committee to do a 2.5 override. And I know that they were roughly $800,000 in Wilbraham alone, the other departments increases in salaries. So, you know, that were on there too. So I don't know how they're handling that as well. All right, discussion of capital needs. Were you here for anything in particular?
Capital needs. I
Okay.
was just looking to see if one of the items made it onto it.
Okay, sure.
Would that be the two-way radio?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that the one that's already installed in,
So yes, it's, there's, my understanding it's still installed. It's an example one, which they'd like to make permanent.
Sure.
That's the one that we're looking at. I can go into it. if
Is it
you need me to.
Motorola or what is it?
It is not. It's,
Icon? Kenwood?
it's actually Kenwood,
Kenwood.
which we are moving to. The
Good.
towns are moving to that model. So I can explain it if you need me to, or if it's a done deal, I can, just want to make sure it was on the proposals.
So, yeah, I used to be in that two-way radio world, so I know. Do you have any questions about it? Do you know what a repeater is?
Yeah, I think we've talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A repeater?
No, go ahead,
Okay,
please.
so you have a two-way radio?
Yep.
And I talk from, like, when you were kids, you had walkie-talkies, you talk to your buddy, right?
Yep.
And then he goes behind a building and you're talking, he can't hear you, right?
Right,
So a repeater is basically a large radio that has a giant antenna, right, on a building, and it has a listening frequency, and then it just repeats that on a send-out frequency, right? So it listens to your tiny little radio talking, and then it rebroadcasts it out on another channel so that everyone can hear
Hear
with a
it.
lot more power than a
yeah,
5-watt radio. The repeaters are like 50 watts, right? You know.
So I think this one's 50 watts.
50 watts, yeah, and it goes out and it's a wonderful thing, and especially if you get some digital capability in there as well, you can have your frequency pair, but if you have digital, you can have multiple frequencies in those frequencies. That technology has really saved a lot of people money, where you had one frequency instead of having to get a bunch more. If you wanted to have a couple other channels, you can fit them all in that digital.
seems like a safety issue too. to
Yeah,
go through,
without a
you know.
question. And the price was incredibly reasonable. I think.
Yeah.
What was it?
Less than 11,000, it's 10,570.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy reasonable.
Right.
So the real issue here is with that, is not being told, the radios they have now, when they're at opposite ends of the campus or certain parts of the building, one radio cannot hear the other radio, they're too far away and there's
Right.
too much in the middle. With the repeater, the example they have, it's crystal clear across the entire
Perfect.
campus.
Great.
So it really is something we really
And in
should
theory,
just
you
act
can hear
on.
about it, you can hear it at the police station.
So we can, because of the way we can set it up,
Right,
we can set it up that it bounces and we can hear, we could hear that at the police station.
yeah,
And we could program some from our radios into listening to it.
yeah.
That's a better thing, but really the
I
most
would like
impact,
that, that would,
yeah.
I mean, hopefully everyone.
the most impactful is being able to, for the radios to hear each other at the opposite ends of the campus.
Hamden and Wilbraham to have access. Well, we're kind of like now together at the.
Yeah, it's one dispatch,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, so, yeah.
So while we've been waiting for retiree benefits and insurance to finalize, we've been focused on capital. That project has been on every previous version of our capital plan.
Yeah.
So Doug, can you give us the current update?
So that's standing.
Okay.
That's not one that's moving. I did sit down with our facilities folks today, and spent a couple hours going through the capital stuff, looking for a couple of things. One is just, you know, what things might have some flexibility to move. There's some things that we moved a couple of things. You know, what we had and how they determine sort of the prices that we have. So what things are quoted, what things are, some things are voice quotes, so like we call the guy and you know, that sort of thing. So it's not a formal quote at this point, but we're working on that. Some of it's recent experience we've done, you know, so for example, we've got things like tiling. We did tiling this year, so it's like, well, this is what we spent this year. We got us this much, we think it's gonna be a similar price. You know, I reached out to Bill Powers today about the technology stuff to see, because I think he has some actual quotes or on some pieces of it, and then some of his may also be purchasing as well. So I'm going to kind of collect that stuff from him as well. So trying to get better numbers and get some more numbers. One of the big ones though was we got a quote from the athletic director relative to the seating at the stadium. And so that number was literally materials delivered and installed, so that's a little bit smaller than what the real project's gonna cost, but that materials, you know, delivered and installed was just under 1.4 million. So we'll need to put in some estimate for contingency, design engineering, you know. Usually each of those is, you know, so design engineering can be 10 to 20%. Contingency, just, you know, we're early enough in the process, you put in, say, 10-15% contingency, which hopefully you don't need. And the thing that was, you know, the conversation today with the facilities folks about that is like, well, that's one thing to sort of get the stands in there, but then you've got other related things that have to be essentially unattached and reattached, so like power and your PA system and your scoreboard, and, you know, it's like, all that stuff's there, and then we just need to make sure we can connect that too. So that's part of that contingency, is kind of the way I think about it. So, you know, you add those couple of, you know, contingency, you know, design and schematic, and, you know, to get biddable docs, that sort of thing. You know, it puts the number up in the 1819 range. I literally, a couple minutes before the meeting did it, so I've got a kind of locked in a number. But it's bigger than the 1.5 million that we had in place, but I think it's a much better number than what we had. There were some other things that we could move off, so we moved a few things off and out to some other years. They're not as immediately urgent. There's some things.
About the new stands or about?
No, other projects in the roster. So we're still refining that a little bit. We're trying to also just get better, you know, clearer, you know, numbers from some of the things that we have on that list to just fine tune it. And as we do that, like, you know. One number that they just got back to me again a few minutes before the meeting was about door hardware for interior doors, that sort of thing. Middle school's a big building.
Yeah.
You know, the number for that was like 95. It's like, we could probably do that over a 2-year period, so I split that in two. You know, relative to the elementary schools, that sort of thing. So, you know, there'll be a little tuning and fine tuning. We'll you know, over the next couple of days until we meet on Thursday. If we meet on Thursday, or even in just the conversation, you know. With the capital folks, you know, we'll update the numbers and give them the background of what and how we got the numbers that we got, and try to have some hard, firm answers to why and how this number is what it is, you know, in each of those categories.
Can I ask you about the stadium seating? So what exactly does that include? So I know there's been different iterations of what the stadium project will look like. So is that just the bleachers? I know there was a discussion about the box up top.
Yeah.
Or does this include the elevator? Does this include locker rooms? Does this include just a ramp? Does it just include just
So
bleachers? Are there Bathrooms included?
There's no bathrooms included.
Okay.
I can tell you that. There's no elevator included. So the quick schematic of it is the seating as it exists now, basically. There's a little over 1,200 seats there. There'll be about 1,200 seats now. There'll be the sort of existing style of ramp for ADA accessibility to the lower part. ADA accessibility to the sort of press box is going to be an extremely sort of long ramp, as was sketched into this, which is basically it starts at one end, on the back side, starts at one end and goes up. And the thing with ADA compliance for ramps is that there's a certain sort of rise and run, which is like 1 foot up for every 12 feet in length.
Right.
The other way around, actually it's 12 feet in length. You can only go up 1 foot. But you also have to have rest spots as you go along. So as you go a certain distance, you have to create a little patio for a moment to have people be able to rest. And so if you glance at the sketch, it has several of those, but it's basically a really long run. It turns around at the opposite end, so it runs the entire length of the stands. It turns around and comes back essentially halfway to get to the press box. So that's what that looks like, that ramp. And that parallels, I don't know, it was abbreviation for school district that did the same sort of thing recently, and I can't remember what it was, but they, our athletic director essentially reached out to a company that does this style of stand, and kind of in a competitive bid, it may get better pricing than that, but it's, so there's no elevator involved, but there is a really long ramp that's going to be involved to get to the press box. And then the seating is, room seating.
What are they made out of? Steel or aluminum?
Aluminum, I believe is the seating.
Oh,
So-
yeah, with the 20%.
25% tariff. That,
Yeah, that could change
so
everything.
that number
that's-
could
Right.
balloon.
And that tariff has already gone into effect, right? Or is it going into effect?
I don't know. I wanted, for some reason, I'm thinking like February 9th or 19th, but I'm not 100% sure, and I'm just wondering, the locks on the doors, those types of things, are those going to be, the price of those going to be affected based on the tariffs that are going to be in effect?
Yeah, I don't know if we know, and I don't know what kind of inventory people are sitting on, so, that's the other thing, is if people are sitting on pretty hefty inventory and, we get approval and can go out to bid, and, that may help us, if it's gonna be new stock that comes in that's gonna get hit by the tariffs existing. I would call that price gouging personally, but I don't know, they may still do it just to sort of mitigate losses on some things as they go, but, it may be a circumstance where people are sitting on decent inventory of stuff. Businesses don't tend to carry as much inventory as they used to once upon a time, so they try to do just-in-time type of delivery. So, it's hard to know. I think that's such a
That
question mark at the
was
moment.
my
It's a great question. You might want to reach
Question.
out to and just say, how good are these numbers? How long do we have them? If the tariffs come, you're going to try to add 25% on.
Right.
Unfortunately, we're going to be all paying a lot more in the near future. Okay, so just so you know, in talking with different people in the town, administration, politicians, that we are going to need, we need solid quotes for anything that they're going to consider.
Yeah.
Okay, and then if we have that plan for the doors and windows of Wilbraham Middle School, I believe.
MSB.
No, yeah, MSB, was it middle school, or was it school? It was middle school,
Middle school.
yeah. That we can explain to them the plan is, apply for it this year. We have to plan for it, and then we actually have to execute it in 2 years' time, and, before we execute it, we'll know if we're gonna be getting anything back from that or not.
Weren't you going to create a schedule showing over the next few years for the MSBA cycles, just with all the buildings, so I thought that's helpful too, because
Yeah.
School Road needs a roof, I believe, as
Right,
well.
yeah.
So it'll be helpful for them to see, since it's the cycle has changed for 2 years.
Exactly.
Would that be something different than the thing you passed out at the last meeting, at the round table, but we went school by school? and you had all of the, capital projects,
It will be updated.
okay,
The projects are the projects, the costs are going to change based on more updated quotes, and we're gonna change the timings on some things there just to get, we wanna get things passed. You can't give $7 million and say this is what we need. I mean, it's just,
Right.
the towns aren't working like that, so.
Well, the other piece of that I'll say too is that there's, there's a capacity for us to do the work too. So there's also that's just reasonable. It's like, we don't wanna ask for projects we can't get to or get started or, that sort of thing. So that's another piece of the conversation I had today with them was like, well, can we get to that or not? Can it wait? Yeah, and we need to get better sense of that. I mean, there was a couple things around playgrounds that we talked about today. It's like, all right, well, it's a potential funding source and, I don't know what their time cycles are for community preservation funds and how much in some things they can fund, some things they can't fund, and how much they're willing to do versus the other things they want to do with CPA and.
If you look at computers, right, well, we have them on a 4 or 5 year, we have them on a 5-year cycle, I believe?
We have them on a 4-year cycle.
4-year cycle, okay. I can have a computer for 4 years, all right? My computer at work, I think, it's been Frankenstein, we had more stuff put inside it and such like that to make it stronger, better, faster. But yeah, I've had it for 4 years, and I can probably keep it a little longer. But when you have a Chromebook that is a $250, $300 piece of machinery, having those go for 4 years. My son is in middle school and he's using an older Chromebook and he's having this thing. He got a brand new, not a brand new, a new to him one to replace the other one. It has the same issues. Like you can't turn it on unless it's plugged in, and then you gotta like do the hokey pokey, and then you gotta
it's gotta be
wave one
very
hand and
frustrating
rub
for
your
him in
stomach.
class.
He wastes, he says, he tells me he wastes about a half an hour every day just on fighting with his machine. So, I mean, that's taking away half an hour of education, that's how I'm looking at it, right? But,
And he's just
yeah,
one student.
and he's one student,
Right.
right? Now, we can go to 5 years. We're just gonna have a lot more of those issues and a
Yeah.
lot more problems and stuff, so we really have to be careful, like, can we go another year? I mean, if we don't get the money, we're gonna have to go another year. But we really have to make sure that we're standing our ground on certain things that really have to be done.
Well, remember, can I just
Yeah.
do some
Yeah.
history on this? If you recall, our budget wasn't fully funded last year,
Yeah.
and one of the places, probably the primary place we decided to take the hit
Right.
was in technology. And we decided to do that at middle school because those students have the computers for 3 years, as opposed to high school where students have the computers for 4 years.
Right.
So that is a likely outcome of that
Yeah.
funding cut we experienced last year.
Can we, I really think that we keep on getting no from the technology department that there is no way that we can have it so that parents can go and buy a machine that their students can use. Because we can save the district, because I would buy my son a computer. And if we have to work it like, in order for you to buy your son a computer, you gotta buy someone else a computer, maybe less fortunate or something like that. I'm getting this like, oh, we can't limit the computers, whatever. Yes, you can. There is a way around it. So I think we need to do that because I think a lot of parents would step up and help their children get some newer computers, and it could really help take some of the pressure off of the towns and the schools. Unfortunately, then it's a tax on parents, but
So that's the second thing I was gonna say.
yeah.
That the way to do it, on the front end to get around, I'm sure it's a technology thing that, that they don't wanna have a million different devices coming in with different specs,
So
et cetera.
limit, here's the
You could-
devices, you have to buy them through the school, whatever.
But
They
you
have to
could-
load all the software into them.
Yeah.
You
know,
could,
and
you could do a computer fee and charge families, but then, that's a very important conversation with the school committee, because you'll be charging kids for a key component of their
But
education.
again, you don't have textbooks anymore.
And
No,
So that's is the Chromebook. So
yeah.
I don't think you can go 5 years.
You can't even
And
go 4
the
years.
fact that the middle school is having those issues, again, I'm sure your son isn't the only one.
Yeah.
It,
Oh, all his friends and stuff, I've talked to them, I've talked to their parents, and they're like, oh yeah, this is crazy.
you gotta put it back in.
Yeah.
It's gotta be, I mean, that's their lifeline, that's everything, everything goes on Google Classroom. You know,
That's
we're
their
not
books,
asking
that's
for
their
any money
homework.
for, you know, you're not asking for money for textbooks. You know, if you were, it would be a lot more money than it is for a $250 or $300 Chromebook, considering you would need one for every subject.
Yeah.
And that would be cost prohibitive. So, I don't think Chromebook is a place that you can cut, in all fairness to the students. And
But it has been where we've been cutting because everything else is just so critical. Contrary to popular belief, there's not a lot of fat on,
Well, based on last year's, I don't mean to interrupt you, you had in your roundtable discussion, you know, shifting trends in low income. And as of 2023, our school district, over 22% of the student population is considered low income. So as far as saying to a parent, well, if you can afford it, then why don't you go ahead and supply it? I think you would, it's the same reason why everybody gets free school lunch now. You know, the rationale behind it, and to add a Chromebook user fee, you know, I suppose that would depend on what it was. You know, if it was $25, okay, maybe people could, you know, the lower income, the 20, I mean, it could even be higher now than the 22%. It might be a real burden to have Johnny with a brand new computer that his parents bought him, loaded with all the software from the district, you know, for Google Classroom, but Sally's sitting next to him
yeah.
with an older version of a Chromebook from the middle school, still experiencing those same, so either way, you're still gonna have that lapse in learning time, which is just not acceptable.
Yeah.
You know, not that it's your fault, I'm just saying that, you know, these are all potential issues that could arise if we don't replace them.
Well, the other piece too is, instead of charging a user fee, what are we doing when a child or, you know, student intentionally breaks the Chromebook, right? The district eats it and they get another Chromebook. So there's no sort of like repercussion.
Do you offer
for
insurance?
that. So that's a problem. So I mean, when you start eating into those extras that we have, or replacement parts, or
Right.
you know, the machines certainly will, you know, even newer ones still might have issues that you just want. We have a surplus. That poses a problem when there are machines that are being broken
Right.
Do
intentionally
you
by
offer
students.
parents the ability to buy insurance for the Chromebooks?
The district insures the Chromebooks.
Yeah.
Because I know of another school district where that's an individual family thing. So that if I buy insurance for the Chromebook, I want to say, if memory serves me correctly, it's $50. And my child breaks the Chromebook, then the insurance is going to cover, you know, say the screen breaks, you know, the insurance costs will cover, you know, for a new Chromebook or what have you. You know, that could be some cost savings there, rather than just saying, okay, you got mad because you didn't understand your science assignment, so you threw your Chromebook against your bedroom wall and all the keys fell off. You know, you're sorry, your parents didn't, you know, buy insurance? Well, then you're gonna have to pay, rather than the district eating that. I don't think that that's an unreasonable.
Yeah, I think students have to pay, like if, I had heard like someone punched a computer and smashed the screen, and I think they were charged back. That happens, correct?
That happens.
Yeah, okay. But if someone trips and falls and the computer gets smashed that way, we don't charge them?
No, but I mean, our insurance, almost every day I've got, you know, 3 to 5 devices out there that have been sent in for repair and come back.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll just say, just speaking of Chromebooks, we have started budgeting that in the operating budget. So you know.
As of last year.
Yeah, and so I think we're gonna, try to, hold steady to that not being a line that we're reducing, and, that we've estimated again, like, how many do we need, and what do we think the price is gonna be, and, sort of budget that line, and try to hold firm to that one as far as, the increases. I mean, it starts to fall into. The other piece about Chromebooks in particular is that they cascade from the older kids to the youngest kids.
Yeah.
And the youngest kids, they're in carts, and it's not as heavy wear and tear and that sort of thing. At the same time, they, when they're showing their age, they're not as capable of doing the things we need them to do, even though the younger kids leverage them for a lot less stuff, but it's still important to have them working. So I think that is an area where we're definitely, you're gonna kind of stick to that in our budgeting, we can't continue to
I
sort of
mean,
start that
same
section.
goes as switches and access points. And
Right,
such
yeah,
like that.
there's only so
Yeah.
long you can put off those things.
And the other thing, the longer you put it off, then you have more security breaches or potential for security breaches. And then everything's slower, and then again, education takes longer because they're
Well,
downloading or buffering.
you also start running into issues of safety and security, because, the sort of infrastructure for our, badge system and all that stuff runs on those things, or
Yeah.
camera systems run on those things.
Yeah,
So all that's knit into that as well. And if those things fail, school doesn't happen without those things there, and for a lot of different reasons. There's the educational specific stuff, and then there's the other things associated with, the day occurring the way we want it to, with doors locked the way we want them, and unlocked the way we want them, and cameras working, or, all that stuff. Part and parcel of that. But just more broadly, back to capital, so, I think we've heard the message from the towns that, they want, as solid quotes as we can get on anything, and some of it is, I mean, the quotes, the purchasing we did this year, I mean, I think we can pull up the bill if we had to on some of that, and.
But then call that company and just double check, hey, listen, if we do the same thing next year, or half next year, or twice as much next year, are we looking at the same cost?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can ask those questions, but, the hard thing is, like with technology, for example, is that you can ask them for a price today, and a month from now, you can ask for the price, and it'll be different, and it can be, when you're buying 200 of something, $5 is, times 200 is, so it starts to be real money, right? So you're gonna make your best estimate of what you can do, and some of that, some things have less fluidity to them, for sure. I think that, estimates for like flooring tile, are decidedly a little more stable at this point. But I think, the question was raised around tariffs on stuff, it's like, it's using a lot of aluminum or other things that are subject to the impact of those kind of things. It could be, what we saw in the sort of middle stages, I would say, of the pandemic, where, plywood suddenly quadrupled in price and stuff like that. So we can't predict that, so we're gonna, hope that it doesn't get insane, and if it does, then, we alter the projects at that point. We're like, we'll either, thanks, but we'll have to come back and redo this altogether, but we're hopefully gonna be in a situation where that doesn't happen, and estimates are gonna be pretty close and pretty solid. But yeah, that's the work for the next couple of days before we meet with folks on Thursdays to see how much, more we can do to get solid answers around pricing, to the extent, the vendors also, one of the questions they pose, like, are you gonna really buy this right now? Or, they get, because it's work for them to do, and they're happy to provide it, but they also want a sense that, like, this is like a real thing.
If
you're
it
gonna
gets
actually-
approved by the town, we're gonna be
Right.
buying it.
Right.
So
But-
it's a solid quote, and it looks attractive for the town to fund,
Right,
because Wilbraham has some money this year.
right, but at the same time, you get that quote, and it has a certain, lifespan, usually like a month. The thing is that, we won't have approval in that time frame, and then we're gonna still have to go get 2 other quotes to meet procurement law, so we're sort of doing that.
Not if they're a state contract vendor. If they're a state contract vendor, you can buy directly from them, because their pricing has already been accepted.
Right, but most of the, like the technology contracts.
ITT 40, that's the name of the contract. You
Right,
look
but you
that.
still have to go get quotes.
No.
No, you do. It depends on what you buy, but I can tell you, you do.
I worked in this, and if you get a quote off of ITT, okay, if it's over $40,000 or $50,000 or something like that, there's a
Right.
threshold. But a lot of these things are, like the radio and stuff like that. doesn't
Yeah,
have to go.
that's a pretty that price isn't
Right.
gonna change at this point. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is like the switches, the Chromebooks, they're all gonna be above that threshold. And so the quotes are gonna you're gonna have to go get quotes from folks, and they are good for usually a 30-day period or so.
I mean, we do the best we can, we only have so
Yeah.
much control.
Oh, yeah,
You know, we
yeah.
can't control if a company changes their pricing, 6
I
months
mean,
from
that's
now.
everybody.
I
Well,
mean,
look what happened with the
right.
senior center.
Right.
You know, the $10 million project became a $15 million project.
So I think as long as we're presenting and we have current quotes, they're not
Yeah.
quotes that are dated from a year ago, I think that's the most important thing, that they're current.
Yep.
We're getting the information that we need to present to capital. I think that's the best we can do.
Yeah.
And I also respect this, in that process, that if they still have a level of discomfort, they have a level of discomfort, and so that's, we're gonna try to get the best number we can for them. And some of it also is like, independent of whether they're comfortable or uncomfortable, they may just not have the money,
Yeah.
right? And then they're gonna say, all right, we got this much, which one is it gonna be?
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to, we're gonna try to triage in that regard, and that's already some of the conversation we had today, was like, what things can we shift out a little bit? Because we're not gonna, like I said, we're not gonna get to them, we can't get a big enough number on them, whatever, they can wait a little bit. And, what things are much more urgent and emergent, as far as, things we hear the deepest about as far as safety and that stuff, so we'll take all that into consideration.
Agreed.
All right. So, going back to timeline and connected to this, we did get that email late in the day on Friday about meeting with the capital planning group on Thursday. My concern is that we did get sort of directional approval from the school committee and the way we're going, but the school committee hasn't seen the final list that Doug is working on right now. I'd be a little uncomfortable talking to them without being able to say the school committee is behind this. So is there a way that we can either cross-post that meeting or have a meeting prior to that for the purpose of getting school committee approval?
Is this something that maybe this committee could do? No, it's gotta be and it has to be a 2/3 majority, right?
We need a quorum. We need a quorum.
2/3 majority is for the full
Budget.
budget.
For the full
This
budget.
is just to approve a
Part of
capital
it.
plan.
Okay.
I think you just need to have,
A quorum.
yeah, just the majority will work for this.
Maybe we could post, we could see if people are available on earlier Thursday. Zoom, maybe. It doesn't have to be an in-person meeting,
I can meet-
just to quickly.
I'm free on Thursday.
Yeah, it could be bad weather on Thursday, and I think the capital meeting is gonna be Zoom. At least some of the emails I saw said that it might be Zoom only. I don't know, have you been able to clarify that?
I did not clarify that, but just going back to where we are, Michelle, your thing is at 5, so that would mean
Right.
4 o'clock Zoom would be okay? Does that sound good?
Yeah.
What's it?
I think she said 5.
I have it
Michelle
on.
has a principal's committee, she's on the committee to,
Oh, okay.
the committee search for a Mile Tree principal, so she's committed at 5, so it would have to be 4 o'clock on the 13th. And then I'll ask,
What time is the capital meeting?
they did not say, he's saying, hold on, he just was saying they'd like to meet on the 13th. Does anybody know when their meetings are, capital? John?
Dave?
No?
No.
We could say we're available after 5.
I don't know if you're going to bring the open house, there's open house at the high school.
Oh, right,
Friday,
John,
too.
there's
And-
open house
and-
at the high school.
Yeah, do we, anybody know what the
I
snow is
think
going to
that
look
one
like?
gets rescheduled again if the weather is like it was last Thursday.
We were talking about that space.
What's that?
There's conversation about that space.
Yeah.
That works for me.
All right, so I'm not. Oh. So they're looking at some Tuesday to Wednesday snow, but they're not really looking at.
Wednesday night to
Wednesday,
Thursday.
Thursday.
They're not looking Wednesday to.
Thursday morning, yeah, they are.
It's
Yeah,
supposed to
I
snow
just
Wednesday,
looked at my-
Thursday, and Saturday.
Yeah.
And then Saturday initially Saturday to Sunday, we were supposed to get whacked, but, I don't know that that's no longer the case, but
Thank goodness.
the news was saying, this morning at 4:30 AM, that, Wednesday night into Thursday morning could be some snow and ice. But maybe, maybe, who knows, 12 hours, 13 hours later,
Still saying mix with wintry precipitation overnight, low 28,
on
3 inches.
when,
Wednesday into Thursday.
yeah. Timing is everything.
Mm-hmm. It will be a game day decision. Most likely.
Have you used normally it's 5 snow days?
Only used 2 so far.
2? Okay.
That was in just one?
2, remember I had to convert one from a delay into a
Oh,
Sunday.
that's right.
First one.
We blocked that out.
Yeah, so,
So yeah, we could do Thursday at 5 if people are available, if we have enough people.
if you want to do it,
I mean 4, that's what I meant, 4.
4, right, 4 because,
Sorry,
yeah.
my knees are 4.
So we'll try for Thursday,
Just via Zoom.
4:30. It'll be our FinCom.
No, 4 o'clock.
4
No,
o'clock.
no, it'll be a school committee meeting
School committee.
Yep,
with just one
capital
agenda
needs,
item.
discussion
And it's
possible.
gonna be at
vote.
4 o'clock, and it's a Zoom.
Do we want to put budget discussion on that as well?
We can.
The other improvement.
What would you like for the budget piece?
Let's have the sheets, so if the school committee can approve it, then that's something that we can.
Well, we're not gonna vote on it yet.
But, like, there might be some questions and issues and stuff that need to be brought up, or something has to be changed, or they can say we like it, and then we can do the presentation on the 6th.
Okay.
It's like, let them get a good look, go over it,
Which sheets?
see if there's any,
So the same budget
the,
from the round table.
colorful sheets that they,
Covered sheets.
yeah.
Same for the.
So essentially the assessments, basically.
Yeah. And there also has to be a
So-
discussion about where is our budget gonna fall with the towns? Because Hamden could say, we have $1 million to give, but extra, but if Wilbraham can only give a certain amount, then they can only give 20%, you know? So. Anything else, anyone else wants to bring up?
Is it possible I could bring something up if,
What is it that you'd like?
it would be a capital, there was,
Sure,
there was some appetite about replacing the cameras in Minichog.
Yeah,
I know that was being, I'm not sure if that's, this is the right forum to even ask about it,
yeah,
or if it's still on the proposals.
We've got it on there, it's a pretty big
Yeah.
number, but yeah, we do. And I think that's for the folks in the high school building in particular, there's some urgency there. It's
Yeah.
a system that needs some attention.
now
So-
when do we have that, what years do we have that in the budget for?
26.
26.
Our town is, we've been working, is making a townwide system. And my understanding is that the system they're considering is compatible, so it would be potentially an overall system between potentially the Hamden, Wilbraham, and the school district.
Yeah,
So it's, if there's anything that you would need me, as the police chief who's in charge of it,
right.
to push it forward at all, or as it goes to capital planning or anything like that, I would definitely be available to speak to the importance of it and how, the plan and how we'd like to have it done. I don't know if that's gonna be going to our town's capital planning sooner than later, or was that this week you were saying, or is that?
This week, this Thursday.
Yeah, this Thursday, we're gonna present to the capital folks on that, so I was trying to get
Is
the school
FinCom
side of it, but
Yeah, is there money for this, like, the cops grant, is that still out there? Is that still?
Not for that.
Okay.
There is a school, one that the state has offered. I haven't seen it. I was expecting it last year and it didn't get posted. And I get my fingers crossed it's gonna get posted again in the spring maybe, but that's, speculation, whether or not it'll get posted.
And is that something that we could, if we go forward with this in the towns, we could get reimbursed for
So
that?
it would depend on the specifics of exactly the way the grant gets worded.
Yeah.
But my short answer is yes, we could get
Okay.
into that. I believe it's $50,000 or $60,000 is what would, our town would, our community would probably be eligible for. That's been what they've offered for communities our size.
All right, so we're not talking like paying for half for the whole thing,
No,
it's
they're
just
not.
giving us something to
Yeah,
help us.
it depends, it's tiered by what the size of your community, and things like
Yeah.
that, or your school district.
Okay.
I think our guess was last time, we thought it was gonna be $50,000 or $60,000. It just never got offered. It just
Okay.
never got posted last year.
Okay.
For whatever reason, it got locked off.
So this is not something that we would hold off on or anything like that, we need to go forward with it, and if that money comes in, it's a little extra.
Yeah, I don't think it would change the game.
Yeah.
It would just be helpful.
Yeah.
Would that be something that they're going to specifically consider or, on Thursday night, you think, or is that just more of an overall?
Well, they'll be considering it on Thursday
Okay,
night,
yeah,
yeah.
I see.
Yeah, and I think that, to your point of, in my notes and in conversation with Bill Powers, our IT guy, I think he actually has, speaking of quotes, I think that's one of the things, he does have a pretty decent quote from,
Good.
say what company.
The beautiful thing
Collins?
about,
Would be Collins Electric?
I think it was Collins Electric, it was something else, but, I'll check on that and we'll talk about it for Thursday for
yeah,
sure.
could you share that with it?
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
Once I get
could
it.
you actually email it to me if possible?
Yeah, I gotta get it first, but yes.
Yeah.
The good thing about that is if we have cameras that can be accessed from the police station, and we have radios that, Hamden and Wilbraham and any cops around will be able to have access to, I think that's important for the security of the school.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when the middle school had their cameras refreshed,
Yep.
it was made compatible as part of the potential system that we have, so it would be seamless. And my understanding is the proposal for Minichog is also compatible into that system.
So it was seamless, you are connected now?
We are not connected, our fiber systems are not connected. Physically, they are
Yeah.
very close at our town hall, that they could be connected. That would be the next jump in the project.
Gotcha.
But our big thing was that we could connect the fiber systems, and once we do that, it would be pretty seamless.
Great.
That everything, so that's what we were hoping, and when Minichog gets that in the middle school, then it would be the blueprint for everything. And Hamden is also on the same system.
Great.
So it would be, our system we have at our police station with the fiber, it would all be
Yeah.
seamless. I just wanted to make sure that's important. Yes.
Yeah. And all the fiber endpoints are at the old police station, right?
So for the town, they are. There are
Yeah.
some that are at our town hall, and my understanding is the school district has fiber, physically has fiber near there, and we have our town fiber, and I'm being told that it would not be difficult to connect them, because they're physically close. There'd have to be some firewalls and things like that
Yeah.
to protect each other's information from crossing, but those are very easy to overcome problems.
Yeah.
And that, once you connect the fibers, as you probably know, once you get fiber connected, you can do anything.
Right.
Fiber's just so versatile.
Laying down the fiber is the big
Yeah,
challenge.
and it's there, the fibers, the actual wires are physically near each
Oh,
other.
super.
So it's a matter of
Great.
firewalls and putting it together, and like I said, fiber's so versatile, it can be easy to put it together.
Excellent, excellent, great news. Super.
Done?
Yeah, anybody else? We all good?
Motion
Right.
to
I'll go on to my next one.
We have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, that's right, you have to
All right,
vote, Kathy,
seconded.
thank you.
Well, I got a few minutes,
All those in
but
favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye, aye. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.